7653. Wonderful. So I want to welcome today, everyone. We're going to be talking about the purpose-driven life. It's Purpose-Driven Wednesday.
Nice.
Wonderful. So I've been talking to my friend here, Frances. She has she's an entrepreneur.
Yes.
I would say she's a woman of many talents, many gifts. She has done so much for so many people. I think it's only fitting for her to come on today, especially right before Christmas. I was talking to you today. You were talking about, being Mrs. Santa Claus and trying to bring good cheer to family and friends and everyone, because that's the kind of person you have. You have the heart of Christmas.
Yes.
You have the heart of giving. I think that's probably one of your love languages, right?
Yeah, considering what happened in Puerto Rico, yeah.
Wow.
It brings it close.
Yeah, because you have family in Puerto Rico, right?
They're scattered all over the place.
Wow.
Because of the situation. No light, electricity, trying to find food, and the ones in the mountains can't come down, so it's very devastating, and it's sad to see.
Especially at this time of the year,
Oh, yes.
You wonder where's the Christmas cheer for them and how, because I know during the time you were very nervous. You didn't know who and what was expected during that time. It was a very scary time for you and your family.
Yes, it was, especially when you can't communicate with anybody, and you don't know whether they survived, or if they reached shelter, or do they have the means to support themselves until help arrives. So it's been a touch and go situation. So we kind of, those that we reached out to and were able to communicate with us, some are in New York, others are in Connecticut, some are here. So
I think that was one of the opportunities that people were able to come here.
Yes.
For a little while to kind of get away, especially since everybody's not able to get electricity.
And it's going to be, from what we're hearing, some have
Months.
but it's going to take a couple of months.
Wow, still.
Yeah.
Because did they have a deadline when they think that people would get electricity by?
It can be till June of
Next
2018
Wow.
or later,
Wow.
depending.
Wow,
Yeah.
maybe even a year from now.
Yeah.
Before.
I mean, those family members that we communicated with shared that, there were, tornadoes involved during the hurricane. So
wow.
they got a mixture of both. So
Wind and rain.
it was, yeah, and flooding. It was really, really bad.
Okay.
Houses that took on all other,
Debris
hurricane.
from other places.
Couldn't handle
Yeah.
it. So we believe this was a higher than ever, a level 5. We believe this was a 6.
Oh my goodness. So I think a lot of times the news media, they don't really give, credence to exactly what happened to the people there and their stories. How many people have they really talked to really gone? They've only touched the surface of the things that have happened to people there, and even now. And I'm sure the weather conditions, it's hot there and
Muggy. I mean, you're dealing with 85 to 90, and at night it gets worse, and the mosquitoes, and you have the other insects, and it's just overwhelming. I mean, to hear it from family members that lived it,
yeah.
totally opposite of what you hear in the news.
Wow, you wonder how they survived.
Perseverance in God.
That's it.
That's the way we see it.
How about the food situation? Are they able to get food in? Because I know they showed you on the news all those cranes and those portable things with the food and supplies.
The irony is that in Puerto Rico, they're only reaching their surfaces of San Juan within a parameters of maybe 20 to 30 or 50 mile radius.
The major town.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There are towns that have no roads. So
because it's been washed away.
exactly.
Yeah.
So it's very difficult for those individuals, just like the nursing homes that we saw. It was worse than what we've seen on TV. So it was, and it still is, but we're resourceful, and it made the community closer. We're in Puerto Rico, everybody's family, but it just brought a lot of people a lot closer. So, with one
people are helping each other and neighbors and giving what they have.
Exactly.
Wow.
What they receive, if they make rice for 50 to 100 people within their block.
Wow.
Whatever they have, they share, and vice versa. Everybody comes together. One goes down, gets online. You know, you have lines of 2-3 hour wait.
Mm.
So you're wasting money to get there,
Yeah.
and then waiting, and then wasting it to get out. So, yeah.
My goodness. Are you originally from Puerto Rico?
No, I'm originally from New York, but my parents are from there.
Okay. Wow.
I'm a New York Rican.
New York. And what was that like for you growing up in New York?
To me, in New York, since, you know, I was surrounded by all sorts of you had the Puerto Ricans, you had Dominicans, we
Different
had
cultures.
a different culture. So
Yeah.
it's an eclectic of personalities and very united. You know,
So that there you see the family again coming together.
Exactly.
That kind of
So I didn't,
yeah.
you know, when I went to Puerto Rico and I, you know,
experience. Yeah.
experienced the roots of what my parents went through or lived through, it was like being home, because it's the same thing we had in New York. We were very family oriented. There wasn't a holiday that wasn't shared with friends and loved ones. So yeah, I mean, parties for us would start at noon and would go until midnight or 3 o'clock in the morning.
Talk about the melting pot.
Oh yes,
That's what it was. Which part of New York was that?
the Big Apple.
Oh, in Manhattan.
In Manhattan, I live
Oh, wow.
on West End Street, which is facing the river.
Oh, beautiful.
Mhm.
Wow.
Exactly. We were able to see what's that famous park? Palisades Park,
Mm-hmm.
and then you also saw the Washington Bridge.
Wow.
So yeah, that's a view I had every day
Wow.
going to school.
A lot of good memories.
Yeah, it is. It is. I don't miss the cold, but I don't miss the cold and shoveling snow. But the holidays were really holidays. Rockefeller Center. I mean,
Yeah.
that was my every
Wow,
year
thing.
tradition.
And the Christmas tree lighting and
Exactly.
all of that.
And the ball falling on 42nd Street. Only I would do that 9 months pregnant.
Oh.
Only I.
Be out there, right?
And I was out there. That was the first year, 1990, that the weather went up to about 65, 70 degrees.
Oh.
And I was almost,
That
I
was
was
nice.
due in January. Yep. And I was
Wow.
right there with my son and my daughter and family.
Wow.
Pregnant woman.
Wow. So when did you move down to Florida?
9/11.
Oh.
9/11 is exactly what brought me here.
Wow. Were you working at the time?
Yes, I was. As a matter of fact, at that time I was married, and when the first building was hit, I was on the FDR Drive going southbound to see some colleagues because I was moving to Maryland, and that's when the first tire was hit.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. You didn't think much about it, right? At the
No,
time, you
traffic
didn't-
stopped and everything just came to a halt, and you saw a lot of debris and so on and so forth. And then I was on the phone with my husband. He was on his way to in Virginia, where I believe the second or third plane hit.
That's
So
true.
we lost communication. We did not speak for about 2 weeks.
What?
I didn't know what was going on with him. I didn't know anything
Oh my
until
goodness.
until we were rerouted
Yes.
on the FDR. We were rerouted, so I had to go back home.
Oh.
And then we were on lockdown. They would not allow us out. Military was all over the place, and that's when I saw, oh my God, the towers were hit, and I was maybe, I don't know, about anywhere from maybe 8 or 10 miles from there.
Wow. Wow. That completely changed your life.
It completely changed perspective. I was
Yeah.
on my way out, and I said, "This is it." And
Wow.
and it's the irony that I was in that building
Uh-huh.
a week before it happened,
Wow.
partying with my colleagues
Wow.
on the 108th floor.
Did you knew people who worked there that were that died?
A dear friend of mine, her niece, passed away.
Oh.
Yeah, she got caught up. And a couple of colleagues of family members. I have police officers in the family, so they lost a couple of colleagues. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, and firefighters that we knew within the family. So yeah, it was pretty devastating.
Wow. Considering how such a family you know, type environment that you grow in, so everybody was close knit and
Yes, you know, when we closed down 3rd Avenue and we did the Puerto Rican Day Parade, we were all there. We were all there. And it's, you know, you say the Puerto Rican Parade, but you had Dominicans, you had, you know.
everybody was Puerto Rican that day.
Exactly. We did.
Even if you weren't from Puerto Rico.
Exactly. You know, it was just the unity and the spirit coming alive. And that's what I miss from New York. It's just the unity. You can go to Central Park and feel like you belong.
Right.
You know, it didn't make a difference who it was. You know, any type of music, it would just bring people together, and I love that unity. I just love that. Yeah, you saw the love, no matter where you went. You just saw it. You know, and people talk to people. Strangers would just start talking to you. You know me; I talk to anybody, so I can start a conversation with anybody. So.
But you intended to move to a closer state, but then you came to Florida.
I moved to Maryland, and after that happened, my husband was assigned to the president then, so he was all over the place with the president, so I came to Florida to be with Mom.
Okay.
Yeah.
Closer to your own.
And I ended up staying.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So you were drawn in.
I was drawn in based on the circumstances in New York.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. So things kind of worked out. But tell me a little bit about your upbringing, because you were saying that even when you were growing up, we were talking about bullying, because I was telling you, especially in this kind of platform, you could reach some young person out there who has gone through that you could shed some light on. And like you said, especially during Christmas time, so many people are going through so many different things. And it's not Merry Christmas for them, you know, but just talking about certain issues can, you know, shed a light and help somebody else. So what was that like for you? You said when you were a young girl, you know, there were people, the hater-raters.
Oh, of course. I think there's not a member or an individual that has not gone through bullying. You know, it's just how the individual handles it. And you look at social media every day and you see it.
Wow.
You know,
it's even worse.
Exactly.
Because it's more visible. You can spread it.
Exactly.
Know, if it happens to you when you were young, it's probably just your school. But now it's like all over the world.
Exactly.
Everybody can.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I mean, from one end to the other, people are bullied every day. It can be in your job. It could be in your predecessors. It could be your coworker. I mean, a student in a school. And, you know, it's amazing because I don't know how you know, we know how it's adapted. You know, it's a learned behavior, but I don't understand why it has to be. And, you know, again, it's all the psychology behind it of who and how you handle it. You know, some people deal with the rages of it and others suppress it where it affects them later on in life. So, you know, I did a little bit of both, you know. Well, my thing was because I had very long hair. My dad did not believe in cutting my hair. So I used to sit on my hair every day. So, of course, you have the girls that are haters because I have this thick, long hair, straight hair, and I'm sitting on my hair, and they will pull it. So, you know, and then the name calling. And so I see it, and it's so sad, you know. It's just, to what degree is the abuse going to continue? And it's affecting our children, you know. Kids are committing suicide because of it. And, you know, it broke my heart the other day on social media. A Hispanic little girl, she left a note and her parents found it and she hung herself because of bullying.
Wow.
And that was
because other girls in her school were
making fun of her.
Wow. Calling her names, saying she wasn't beautiful.
Exactly. They would make right down to her clothing, the way she looked, and how she spoke. And I mean, I'm a parent. I can't begin to imagine, you know, what that father went through when he was reading that note that she left. You know, and to a degree we're going to take it. How are we being proactive? You know, and it was a Pandora's box for me. It was like a aha moment. Oh my God, you know, how can we stop this? You know, I mean.
Did you have other siblings in school at the time, or did
no,
you complain to anyone?
I have 3 brothers. I'm the only girl.
Right.
You
so
know?
that's what I was thinking. You had your bigger brothers. Then did you?
Yeah. I you know, if I cried to my older brother, my brother was a bully within himself. So you know, I mean, but a nice one. He was not one to provoke, but if he was provoked,
he will fight.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you know, and then the older one was the same way. So, and even the baby one who's about 6'4", you know,
baby.
yeah, you know, he's the last child. He's the same way, you know, anything to defend, because I'm like his mother. We're 12 years apart, so, you know, anything to defend his sister. So yeah, you know.
So they came to your defense?
But see, because I knew their tempers, I would.
No, suppress it. You wouldn't say anything.
You know, and I would have outbursts, or it would affect my schooling or my learning or something, because I was always the reasonable one, you know, the calm one.
Right.
You know. And as I got older, I became very vocal.
Oh, okay.
You know, it just got to a point of no return. Either, and it's like my mother said, if you can sit down and remain silent or deal with it. And I decided to take matters in my own hands. And sometimes when I see these kids standing up for a course and they get physical, they were driven to it. You know, how much did they tolerate until somebody paid attention? And in today's society, I feel that no one pays attention until violence
erupts, something major.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then that's when everybody...
Somebody has to die before...
Exactly. And that's where that was my aha moment. Why do we have to get to that point? You know, what can we as a society do to stop it before? It's like a boiler, you know, it has 3 levels. Why do we have to wait until it's to the top where it explodes, you know, and a life is taken? Why? And then that's all forces of life today. Everything has to be to the extreme. There's no medium. Everything is either, you know, neutral or extreme, you know, and it's sad, you know. There's a lot of organizations out there, but I feel that we as a society have to be very vocal and stop it. When you see something wrong, be vocal about it. Put a stop to it. You see a child being, you know, combative or confrontational, stop it, you know, or an adult
say
too.
Something.
Exactly. You know, you don't have to be you know, it's your tactics, how you handle it, you know. But we have to become more proactive. And I think sometimes people are afraid
that they would get in trouble. Yeah.
You know, because then you have the ramifications. Parents, well, why are you yelling at my child? Or why did you do this? But, you know, I'm pretty sure this child acts like this at home. You know, they had to learn this somewhere.
Behavior, that's it.
You know, that's an adaptive behavior. It's a learned behavior. They're not born like that.
So their parents are probably bullying them, or they maybe some kind of domestic family. Or, yeah, there's more to it.
Exactly. I don't believe, there's no way, I would never accept the fact that that child was born the way they are. No, that's a taught behavior.
Right.
You know, because we were not taught that way. I did not raise my children that way. You know, you don't take advantage of the less fortunate. You know, you lift them. And like my mother said, if you have nothing nice to say, stay quiet.
That's it. Don't say anything at all. So how has this helped you in your purpose, as in your drive, has driven you to where you are today and all that you're doing?
Oh my God, that was a Pandora's question. I think when
you think about it, because like you said, when you were younger, you were somewhat vulnerable, but then
seeing it and witnessing it, you know, I never saw severe devastation like we have today, you know, but I did see the bullying. I faced it. I dealt with it. I experienced it. I just feel that the person I am today is, I became an advocate, you know, for those that don't.
The underdog.
Exactly, for those that don't want to, you know, and the seniors are the ones that I have because that'll be me someday.
Right. So that's why you wanted to become a nurse. That's why you're in the home care industry.
I mean, home care is in my blood. I've done it for 30 years in both states, New York and here.
Wow.
And all facets of levels of home health, you know, from private duty to nursing home to home, you know, Medicare home health. And it's a way of delivering a service. I mean, of course, competitors, every agency does the same thing, the same rules apply, but it's the compassion behind it, and how far are you willing to take it? You know,
the person more than just the business.
Exactly.
Exactly.
That person is not a number. You know,
healthcare has become so political in such a business. It's almost like the criminal justice system too.
Yes, that's the best way to put it. Exactly. You know, it's the underdog, survival of the fittest. You know,
everybody's a number and how many and oh my goodness.
And you know, I've worked for a lot of talented agencies, and I'm proud to represent all of them when I did. But the unity within the owner of our company, I guess because he started from nothing and made something of it, and
that kind of drew you as an individual to work with someone like that.
Yes, because to him it's not a number, and God knows, we have good months, we have bad months, but with him it's about the delivery of services. And I wake up every day and go out there and challenge, every day, deal with, numerous challenges, and try to sell it and pitch it the best way I can, because I'm not doing anything differently than if you work for ABC Home Health. You're pitching the same thing, because we fall under the same scope.
But it's the relationship too.
Exactly, and the trust, and to be able to stand and be honest and say, when you made a mistake, live up to it. Don't cover it, and do the best that you can for that individual. And I saw our company do it when Hurricane Irma hit. We had nurses out there that stayed with patients, because they couldn't get out. I mean, our agency took it to another level, and those are the ones that I every day, it's a movement, I mean, we don't talk about these things, we're just doers. We're not looking for a pat, we're not looking for recognition. That's part of our scope of service. It's about the patient, not about the numbers.
And that's what talk about sacrifice. A lot of times people are, because it's a profit-seeking everything, well, you have to pay your bills, you have to earn a living, but then it comes down to more than just dollars and cents, and just look at people as numbers, and that relationship that you have with the individuals, it makes a difference. And it takes time, too, to garner that trust, like you said, and to garner that relationship. And then that makes people want to, be part of your business. It makes people want to, get your service. So it makes a difference.
Yes, it's the trust. I truly believe, like I said, the pitch is the same, but at the end of the day, is that person, I'm going to use a colleague's statement. I'm going to share it. And if she's listening, she'll know who she is. She said to me one day, I'm going to call the individual that answers their phone on the weekend, not the ones that answer their phones Monday through Friday. Because that individual is the one that will serve and deliver that individual, the patient. So, and there's truth to that. You don't chase only Monday through Friday. You got to care about those individuals even on the weekends. True. So yes, do we work a little harder? Yeah, we have to. It's a very competitive business, like everything else. But it's about the patient, and that's what. At the end of the day, whether I had a good day or a bad day, if I did one thing good, I feel like I paid it forward. And that's my peace of mind. That's what makes me sleep at night.
Dependability. So what do you think are some of your strengths?
Heidi? Oh my gosh. The bonding and the trust. And that's a hurdle that's very hard to meet. Because like I said, one individual could have heard that pitch 5 or 10 times, and we all fall, like I stated, under the same scope of practice, but it's being persistent. I think persistency is my biggest strength. I don't give up. I'm very persistent. It's like one physician told me one day, I had to pay attention to you. You were stalking me.
You didn't give up.
No, I would not give up on her. And we're the best of friends today. And she said, you always try to put me to work. And it's the persistency that brought us, drew us together.
Closer. Wow. How was your relationships like with your grandparents?
Oh my God. It's like bread and butter in our family. One goes with the other. All holidays with, revolved and where they're at, and what they were doing. It was a tradition. We had to be. And I think I've shared with you in the past, I had the gift of having 2 sets of parents. My biological mother and my biological father were divorced. So I got an additional stepmom and an additional stepdad.
Oh, because both of them remarried?
Yes.
Wow.
So I have 2, some kids don't have one. I had the blessing of having both and the love of both. So, I buried my stepmom and my biological father, and, today I have my stepdad and my biological mom. So, it's a blessing. So I had a blended family.
Yes.
Because my stepmother came of 12 siblings. So when we partied at Grandma's house, they broke it up because she lived in mid-Manhattan, and, her apartment was only but so big. So, grandkids, great-grandkids, and so on and so forth would all come. And then I had my biological side, which was mom, and dad. So it was,
wow.
We were never bored. Let's put it that way.
A lot of people.
We did a lot of partying.
Yes. Wow. It didn't take much because there's so many people involved and so many family members.
Yeah. I always said that if we put my family together, we would need, in my stepmother's side of the family, fortunately, because we're all in so many places, I call family reunions, unfortunately, when somebody passes away. That's why everybody comes together, because we're all in different areas.
That's the thing for a lot of people. Weddings or,
and
funerals.
weddings. Yeah. So my family reunion was when I got married.
Oh.
Everybody came from Puerto Rico, wherever they lived, they came to my wedding.
Wow.
And then when mom passed away, my stepmother, everybody
came together. Wow.
Yeah.
So what do you think is your purpose in life? What is your calling?
I would love to be Mother Teresa, but I don't think I could hold that. I don't think I could hold that torch.
Not Florence Nightingale?
Oh gosh,
it's close.
I love both.
Yeah.
But I admire Mother Teresa. I love both.
Yeah.
I mean, Florence
Were you
Nightingale.
supposed to be a nun? Did you go to Catholic
Yes, I
school?
did. We all did. We had to. That's why we have penmanship today.
That's part of the Hispanic culture. A lot of people
Yeah.
grew up Catholic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was no ifs and buts.
Yeah.
And my kids went to Catholic school. There
Yeah.
was no ifs and buts. We needed to go to private school.
Yes.
And to me, it was the best education.
Right.
The public schools were awesome.
It taught you discipline.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Those nuns did not play. Those rulers, trust me.
You felt them.
Yeah. But
And you never wanted to be a nun?
No. If you met my mother, you would understand. But no, not a nun. But I really, as I got older, I've learned, about those two.
I get people right now saying that bullying, we need to speak more about it because this is something we really need to focus talking about it because
issue.
people are losing their lives, especially right now around Christmas. We need, they're saying that we need to focus on that more.
Yeah, that's
and,
true. That's true.
If I may,
Go ahead.
someone like you, who witnessed something like that during the earthquake, during the 9/11, and when you know that, when you find out people were behind the 9/11, and someone who lives in New York, and you grew up there, and how does it make you feel when you meet other people, these people that look like people who committed the travesty? How do you feel? How did you feel at that time? And since then, is that changed your life? How?
Like if someone is Muslim or...
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't judge people from where they come from. I feel that the individuals that caused it are fully responsible.
Okay.
Because that's a learned behavior. It's just bullying. It's a learned behavior. It's something they were taught, something instilled, and unfortunately, certain religions, believe in that. So, I don't hold a particular culture accountable.
What were your feelings at the time? Because I remember I used to visit New York a lot, and I remember when a friend of mine, we were like almost, it was kind of far, but you could still see that building was burning for days, and you could still see that smoke, and you just wonder. And I remember even going into some of the shops, and then I would see those people with the little thing, and then it would scare me. Just knowing what had happened at the time, it would scare me. I was thinking, oh my gosh, is something going to happen in this store, that I'm trying to buy something from? Because I've visited New York, even in the 80s. My aunt grew up in Queens. So we would always visit her in summertime. We would drive to New York. So just to have that, just to see someone like that and have that experience, it builds up a sense of fear.
Oh yes.
Because I don't know, before it wasn't as visible. I didn't see a lot of Muslim people. I guess it's there in certain areas and certain neighborhoods, but where my aunt lived, I didn't see a lot of people like that. But after 9/11, I saw more visibility of people, you know, I don't know what the dress or the thing that they call it, but it would bring fear to me just to see them around. You know, I would think, oh my gosh, because, you know, if you live in Jerusalem or some country like that, people are fearful because there might be a bomb in it. And then after 9/11, that's how I felt.
Imagine 9/11. I was in the L train, stuck there for 3 hours.
Oh, really? Oh,
So,
my gosh.
I believe you. Yeah.
And my office was 47 Madison.
Look at that.
Wow.
And I had another office in 15 Street Union Square.
Wow.
So I lost like 500 clients. Wow. So yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Wow.
Because Madison, when the ambulance every day bringing the dead people, they were passing in front of my office.
Wow.
So I know what you're talking about.
Wow.
It's
So you really get to experience it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
and seeing it
And that smoke was there, right?
Oh,
And
yeah.
and
When
that
you go into
soot
work,
and
you have
yeah.
to wear something because the
Yeah.
smell of decay.
Mhm.
When you take the
Oh.
two train
Wow.
going to Times Square, yeah. Mhm.
Wow.
Yeah.
it's
Because you live close, you know, because even like Seaport down, you know, I don't know much in New York. I would always visit.
well, I lived in
I-
Westchester. I lived in Westchester, so
Okay, so it's the other
it-
side of the
Mhm.
water.
Yeah,
Okay, so
I
it's
when
That would be west side.
Opposite. Okay.
yeah. So
okay.
when I went down, you know, I went through Van Cortlandt and I took the 1 or the 2 train down to 42nd Street and, you know, cross over. So I when you're a New Yorker, you do a lot of walking.
Yeah.
So
oh, for
you
sure.
know, but in going back to your question, I was still in a state of shock
yeah.
because
It
I
took
was
a
raised
while,
there.
maybe months
it-
before it really hit you.
The irony was that, like I stated at the beginning of our conversation, I was there a week before it hit.
Mhm.
So when I was on the 8th floor, on the 108th floor, as we were going up
Mhm.
to, there's a restaurant that revolves.
Spins, yeah.
It's called Windows of the World.
Yeah.
And we were going there to celebrate with all my colleagues, and you know, that I had already resigned from my position.
Mm.
So when we were going up, I had a bad toothache, and I'm saying, "Oh my God, we're like sitting ducks here."
Mm.
And you can see people getting smaller and smaller, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
And when that happened, a week later, it left me in a state of awe because that could have been me.
You could have been there. Mm.
You know,
Wow.
so it did leave me speechless. I feel like the wind was just sucked out of me. And I walked around for several weeks not knowing who was around, who did I lose. You know, we were on lockdown. So, you know, and our communication services was compromised. So,
Low self-esteem, the
That's
love
it.
tank is empty.
Yeah.
you know, and you're right. You'll see a lot of that now during the holidays, you know. So,
Wow.
if I can play Santa Claus or say hello or spend 5 minutes or half hour or my afternoon with someone, I would put my life on hold just to make that person's day worth living.
That's it.
That's the way I see it. I think that's my purpose.
Because what would you say to someone who's being bullied right now?
I would want them to talk about it.
Yeah.
I
Say something to someone.
I-
Don't hold it in.
No,
Yeah.
I believe talk to someone that's going to listen and be
Yeah.
persistent.
Yeah.
You know, unfortunately, in today's society, you know, parents are working. You know, I was lucky.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when I was, you know,
Breadwinner.
the breadwinner. So,
Yeah.
you know, she was there doing homework and so on and so forth. In today's society, we don't have that.
difficult.
Children are basically raising themselves because parents have to work.
Mm.
So, you know,
They feel even more separated, more alone,
Exactly.
because like nobody's there
exactly.
for them.
Exactly. And the
Wow.
tolerance level. You
Mm.
know, parents come home, they don't want to hear it. you know, and they have little tolerance for their children. And I'm sorry, I was one of those because I was a single mom myself. So, you know, with my kids, I'm like, wait. You know, so it's, yeah, you know. And
you've been in both sides.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I don't judge, but I do feel that we need to do things because certain experiences is a window of opportunity. I look at it. You know, I'm not perfect. I made a lot of mistakes, and with my children and so on and so forth. But both my kids are normal. You know, you know, and you know they appreciate life. They see things how they are. They don't pick on people. You know,
none of
good
them were
Christian
bullied
children
that you know of.
That I'm pretty sure they were. But see, this is where the communication comes in. You know, because of my way of handling things when I was younger, I can see my kids shutting down because they were like, okay, if I go to mom is going to be confrontational. She's going to go to speak to the principal, and she's going to want to demand to speak to the parents, and so on and so forth. So, you know, when I was younger, when they picked on Jennifer, which is my daughter, yeah, I was very vocal. And then when I saw the parents not doing nothing about it, then you turn around, you tell that child, you know what? They do it again, you hit them.
Defend themselves.
Exactly, because what, you know, and it's ironic that the person that was the vice president of the school went to college with my husband. So it was, you know, when he was
Small
talking,
world.
Yeah, he was talking to my husband. My husband goes, she's not very diplomatic. She has a bad temper. But, you know, she was really being proactive because my daughter has been picked on. So on and so forth. So, you know, when you sit back and you analyze and you reflect, you know, no, did I handle that appropriately? No. But it was, my way of dealing with it was projected based on the outcome of the individual. They're supposed to be an adult. They're supposed to grab that child and go, why did you do that?
Right.
You know.
Reprimand the child.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Not humiliate, because it only makes them angrier. But find out what is bothering you that you feel that you need to pick on this individual. You know, and you know, I understand because, like I said, my parents were those individuals. They were very proactive. If you don't handle it, I'm going to take matters in my own hands, and that's what I see now today. But unfortunately, these kids, they're taking matters in the wrong way. They're taking their lives.
Yeah.
And that's where I feel that we're not
bringing guns to school.
Exactly. I don't feel that we're being...
Because even some of those kids, Columbine and some of these other young kids, I think they were bullied. They were picked on and called names, and that's the way that they dealt with. They figured they were going to get back.
I mean, when I worked in New York, I mean, Heidi, I'll tell you, how long is your show? Because I saw things that... make you very angry. How kids were treated, you know,
by other kids.
In our household.
Oh,
you know,
abuse.
Exactly. I saw the abuse, and you know, and then you know, there's always one leader out of those children that feels that they need to be the protector, so they're the ones that are aggressors, you know, and that aggression is then taken out in school. So you know, is it the child's fault, you know, or is it the environment, you know? It's like we learn in school, you know.
Because you see it happening, but then you feel it's like they talk about the bystander effect when, you know, and a lot of times even some of these research studies were in New York too, when people were killed and murdered and people knew something was happening and nobody called the police because nobody wanted to get involved. So even with you living in New York, you see kids being beaten by their parents, being cursed at, talked down, oh, you're a dog, or you're never going to be anything, and wow, you're just watching and seeing all this, but then what can you do?
Well, at that time, I went around with social workers. So the social workers, because there's certain areas that you really couldn't go by yourself because they were not very sound, safe areas. So when we went into these places, it was an eye-opener for me because, see, I was never exposed to that, so I don't understand that. You know, until you don't see it, you don't understand. All the textbooks in the world can't prepare you for reality, and reality is your biggest teacher. You know, so when I walked into the Harlem projects and saw devastation and lack of food and malnutrition.
I think poverty has a lot to do with it too.
Yes. And then the system, you know, okay, the social worker is there, she files a report. Okay, the child is taken out temporarily. The mother's taken out, you know, she does her due diligence and she comes back and then the child is right back where they started. So how proactive is the system for the kids?
Wow.
So why call? It's like when we interview neighbors, Why call? All you guys, and you know, the social workers were blamed. All you guys are going to do is take the child out, bring the child back. So why do you want me to be proactive? How do you answer that?
Wow.
Because you're doing your job, but the system, you don't control the system.
Right.
So these kids are thrown right back in the same situation that they want to run from. And then that tailors their personalities, and they take that back into the streets. And that's where the bullying comes into play. Because they don't know anything better besides being, you know, the confrontation and the verbal or the physical abuse behind it.
It's a familiar place for them, so that's what they're used to.
Exactly.
And then
that's the norm.
Because I think even with me, when, you know, I first started doing counseling, it was hard to counsel like parents with little kids, because then the parents will bring their child, oh, help them, you fix them. But then it always started with the parents themselves, and the parents never wanted to take responsibility for their behaviors. They figure it's a child who's at fault, and then you being a neighbor, or you being a person in the neighborhood, and you're seeing parents are gonna like, oh, well, you can't tell me how to raise my child.
That's what I faced, and that's why I told my daughter, take matters in your own hands. I'm like, you know, it's a do or don't.
Yeah.
It's a do or don't, because you can't reason
Yeah.
with someone who's unreasonable.
Yeah.
When they reach that, you know, it's another level.
But even like you said, it's like a cycle where if a neighbor figures that they're going to report it, I think it's better to report it, say something.
I agree.
Than let it continue, and then, because at least somebody else is watching. And sometimes it might be a bad thing where then they get into foster care, and then they get taken away from their real family. It's a hard thing to really, you know, fix or deal with, because there's so many repercussions and so many things that can happen as a result. But I think you still have to say or do something. Even if the parent doesn't want to listen to you, you have to say something to them. Maybe it'll click somewhere in their mind, because like you said, if somebody wants to kill someone or do something bad, they're going to do it.
They're going to do it regardless.
Yeah, but I think sometimes you still have to put it out there. So if you're being bullied, you have to say something, and you have to, like you say, be persistent. And try to find someone, because there's someone out there that will help you. You have to say something. You have to talk about it. Tell a trusted friend or teacher or co-worker, someone at church. 911.
We have social media now.
Yeah.
I mean, you want to touch the hearts of millions? Put it on social media.
Yeah.
I mean,
put it
trust
out there.
me.
You'll get
someone will listen.
Say something. That's
someone
true,
will
I've
listen.
seen a lot of people put
Exactly. Someone will listen. You know, I just don't feel
help.
you taking your life or hurting yourself or someone else is going to fix the problem. You know, it's beyond that. And people need to be more proactive, regardless of the repercussions. And there's always repercussions, unfortunately. We live in a society that, you know, everybody wants to take vengeance for butting in. But you know what? I prefer to die trying than not to.
That's true. That's true. And it all comes back to purpose. If you feel like you have no purpose, if someone is telling you who you are, then that doesn't make sense. And even when you're trying to work on your purpose in life, your own family members are going to tell you things, try to deter you. Oh, why are you wasting time, Francis? Why are you doing this? And your own, you know, family and sometimes your own friends. But you got to know within yourself what purpose that you serve, because everyone is here on earth for a reason. So no one has to give up because of somebody else.
No.
You just have to stick it out and keep on pushing, keep on having that determination and that drive, because there's so many things that can come up in life. And it's like when you go through your teenage years, there's obstacles, there's different things that you have to go through. And then when you get older, there's other things, and then when you're, you know, like an elderly person, then you have to deal with health issues. So it's always going to be issues, but your mindset, I think, makes a big difference. You have to, like you say, have a positive attitude. You have to try to put love in everything.
And look at things, look at the brighter side of things. Don't, you know, don't look at the cup half filled, you know. And like I said, I speak
Or half
transparent.
empty, but half full. Right.
Excuse me, that's right. You know, I mean, try to achieve something. And, you know, I relate my experiences, you know, and what I've stated this evening based on, you know, my past, you know. We're not perfect.
Right.
We all, you know, mistakes have to occur because that's how we learn.
Yeah.
But, you know, I've always been very vocal, you know, and as I get older, it just gets, you know, I get louder and louder. Because,
more vocal.
Yes, because...
And I think probably because of that, maybe because you weren't as vocal when you were young, so now you're older, it's like, you know, you're not holding back.
No, you know.
Because when you're young, you're so vulnerable and you feel like you're lesser than, you're weaker. And that's why a lot of people pick on others too, because they feel like they're less than and they're weak and they can take advantage. But that is good once.
It's very true.
Yeah, once you're able to, then you have to really stand up
and learning in our culture as well as in Catholic school. That's what we're taught. We're taught, you know, you be a lady. You know, you don't hurt others. You don't talk. You don't do this. Even when they're hurting you. So you know, you're reading the Bible, well, the interpretation of the Catholic Bible, and they're saying, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. So when do you speak? You know, when do you become vocal? When do you say, I want this to stop? So it's like you're shunned in your own religion. You know,
if you're vocal. Wow.
Because that's, you know, the head of the table is the man. So, you know, the woman, you know, serves
Yeah.
And you know, I thank God that my biological mother was a rebel. And as I got older, she goes, no, you're going to have a rude awakening. This is the way it is, you know, and I thank God that she was so proactive later on because, yes, you know, I tell my friends today, oh, I was very shy, very quiet, and they're like, you? Oh, no. You know, they make fun of me. They go, no, I don't see any. I go, no, this took a lot of years of, of being able to speak and not being shy, you know, and stand for something that I believe in, you know. And like I said, social media is very powerful, and
that's why we're here.
You know,
putting it out there.
I'm just so over it, and it's scary because, you know, my daughter made me open up a Facebook account, and she kind of navigates it because I don't know how to work it as well as she does, and every time I go on there, I see something happening to a child, and it's killing me. It's just literally, I told her I don't want to even go on there anymore because it's just, when is it going to stop, Heidi? What can we do? You know, where can
that's why we're here, because we're trying to bring real, informative information for people that they can listen and learn from, and, you know, hear your story and want to do something to help, you know, people out there who are going through some kind of injustice. So that's why, you know, Mr. DT, Discovery Talent, gentleman right here, himself, Mr. Discovery Talent, Mr. DT, we call him, man behind the scenes. He came up with this platform. So the underdog, you know, the people who have the gifts and talent out there, they need that push, that support, someone that can give them that platform so they can do what they do. And he's been doing it in, you know, he's paralegal in the law business and, you know, in the entertainment business. So if someone is a singer or an actor, he has a platform for people in different countries all over the world who are calling him, you know, because in where they live, even like if someone lives in Puerto Rico, there's no outlets because it's the bureaucracy, like you said, and a lot of these islands and countries, it's all about, you know, if you have the money, and that's how you kind of get ahead. And he's trying to make it available for people, no matter where they are, that they can have that voice, they can be able to do what, you know, God called them to do, have that ability to really reach out. And just like you said, social media is a place to be, and social media, we want to do positive things rather than all the negative that we see, and, you know, people picking on others and think it's funny, but then, you know, somebody has to fall prey to all that.
Exactly.
So what can people do for those in Puerto Rico? Gonna bring it full circle.
You know, it's ironic, you know, this social media and when Maria hit, they were highly criticized. Well, why didn't they prepare? Why didn't they do this? Why didn't they do that? But we neglect to remember that there was numerous hits of hurricanes. So when you knock down your only means of communication and you lose electricity, how are people going to know how to prepare for the other two? So that was the cause in Puerto Rico, you know. And
you think the infrastructure was bad? That maybe the buildings?
There's everything wrong with Puerto Rico.
Prepared.
It's a beautiful island, but there was...
You see, especially with Florida, because we've experienced so many hurricanes, now they're building things, you know, underneath or, you know, just the infrastructure is different where even the buildings, they're checking certain things more and people are getting these window, you know, resistant from hurricane and wind and all these things. So I don't think people were as prepared.
They couldn't because they didn't know.
Yeah.
And that's what we've gotten from family members that
Yeah.
relocated.
Oh.
You know, how am I supposed to prepare when I only know about the one that hit and I lost all electricity and, you know, I had damage and so on and so forth.
They didn't get time. Did they get time to prepare?
No, because, you know, we had hurricanes weeks within each other.
Yeah, that's true.
So here you are. If we can't even get the lights on now after Maria, you know, Irma, and what was the one that hit Houston and hit a couple of places? I mean, this was a really bad year in hurricanes. So, you know,
and a lot of people don't even realize that.
No.
They think it was just one hurricane.
Exactly,
and, that was it.
and they were highly criticized, you know, and only the people that live there are the sole individuals that could really be the spokespeople because they lived it, they suffered it. Like, no one can tell me, you know, how to experience bullying. I experienced it. I know what it is. You know, there was other things, you know. I mean, during my upbringing, you know. And again, as you get vocal, you stand up for what you believe in and what you've experienced. But I just feel that social media is good and then it's bad because, you know, they only showed, you know, parts of Puerto Rico. You know, the people were hanging out. In San Juan, that's the capital. You know, it's tourist section. Of course, they're going to only. But where are you when, you know, on the other side of the island? You know, that you can't get to because there's no roads. So why didn't we show that? You know, we have an amazing military system. You know, people could have flown things in just like we do for our soldiers when they're in Afghanistan.
Because I thought they said they did food drops.
They did, but there was a
Not
bar.
enough.
No, there was a bar because of a law. So it had to go through processing. So everything that we were sending was being held at one base.
Right.
Until that was raised. And then things started getting disseminated. But, you know, among themselves, they were reaching out to their neighbors and so on and so forth.
That's how they survived.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Wow.
So there were so many political, you know, situations that really affected Puerto Rico. You know, and I didn't even know this, to be quite honest. The one that educated me, and I wish I remember, was my son. He goes, Mom, do you realize this and this and this? And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. He goes, yeah, that's why Puerto Rico is in deficit. That's why they owe so much money because, you know, they're part of the states.
Right.
But of the Commonwealth, that's not an island. They're part of United States, but this has bought them, and it's a stupid ruling.
Because they did borrow, right?
Yes.
From.
But you know, the states is the one that had them in a deficit, you know, to a certain degree. So it's a do or die situation. You know, I just wish I remembered the ruling, and my son was the one who told me, and it's sad because you know these people are trying to survive. They don't get the benefits like the people here in the States. You know, they don't get the Medicaid or the Medicare, yes, the Medicaids and so on. You know, they get something totally different. So a lot of Puerto Ricans have decided way before Maria to pick up and come and live with their families. That's how my family ended up in New York because they couldn't deal with the situation. It's a beautiful island. I love it. But jobs are scarce. You know, it's just too much. You know, it was too much.
Wow.
So here we are.
Yes. Wow. So, you know, we just hope, we're praying for the people there in Puerto Rico, and we just hope that everything comes, water, all the basic, because schools have schools reopened and
In some
regular.
area, yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
has, yes, thank God.
Yeah.
Kids are back to school.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you what's going on the other side
Yeah.
because it's not seen or talked about.
Yeah.
But yes, where my family has come from, yes, schools have reopened, and they were doing classes even from teachers' homes.
Wow.
There's a nursing
Wow.
school over there that I have a colleague of mine going back and forth, and they were very resourceful, Heidi.
Wow.
It's amazing how they handle things down there. It was really, you had people from nursing homes being taken to local family members as shelters,
Yeah.
to be taken care of, because it's just amazing how the community came together, and it just stands for.
Because even here too, the Puerto Rican Americans here have been sending and trying to help, and
Mark Anthony was very vocal.
Yeah.
I take my hat and I salute that man. He became very vocal.
Yeah.
He lashed out at our president
Mhm.
and our policies, and he became very, very vocal. Opened up, Somos Una Voz, and
It's like a donation.
a donation. Yeah, it's like a GoFundMe, for Puerto Rico, and
Okay. Yes, and some celebrities still
yes,
have. Yeah.
all the celebrities
Yeah.
came together, and from all nationalities, from all walks of life.
Yeah.
They weren't. Some of them were not Puerto Rican, and they came together and
Yeah.
served one
Yeah.
country. And
And that's what's making a difference. The
Mhm.
grassroots
exactly.
efforts. It's not the government helping the people. It's the grassroots
Exactly.
people who
And
have
this
been
is
helping.
a young man that was
Uh-huh.
raised in New York.
Yeah.
The
same.
love that he had for Puerto Rico,
Yeah,
and
that's it.
you
His
know,
family still, no matter what.
exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
that's his roots.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's where his music comes from, and
Yeah.
I got the pleasure of meeting him one day at a club, and I love him as an artist.
Yeah, in Miami.
No, in New York.
Oh,
I met him
okay.
on my birthday. Matter of fact,
Oh,
he
isn't
sang
that-
a song, and he sang "Happy Birthday" to me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Broadway. So I mean, I got the pleasure of meeting him in person, and I have
Wow, that's
I've
nice.
loved him then,
Wow.
and
So it just shows what kind of person he is.
yeah,
If he would,
yeah,
do
he's a
that.
do or die.
Yeah.
He's a do or
Wow.
die. He's a New York at
Wow.
heart, and
Wow, that's
he's
good.
a fighter. And I applaud him.
Yeah.
I really applaud him, and his ex-wife Jennifer Lopez. They all came
Yeah.
as one.
Yeah.
They all came as one.
They always do that. Yeah. Work
Yeah.
together,
Exactly.
regardless of the relationship.
And this is a man that came out on TV and talked about bullying and being made fun of. He had a speech impairment.
Oh.
He stuttered,
Oh.
and that's how he found his voice. That he didn't
Mm.
stutter when he sung, and he says
Wow.
that was his therapy.
Wow.
And it was interesting
Mhm.
when he talked about these things, and I
Mhm.
was like, wow. You would never think,
Wow.
this young man would be shy or anything
Yeah.
like that. He said, no.
Inspiration.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He said I was a skinny kid,
Yeah.
tall, skinny kid,
Yeah. He probably
with a
thought
stuttering problem.
he probably thought he looked awkward.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and look at
that's,
him.
That's how a lot of teenagers, even when you're growing, and then it's like one summer you're short, and then the next you're tall, and then
Exactly.
everybody's like, "Oh, what happened to you?"
Yeah.
You might be a well-known musician
exactly.
that is able now to turn everything around and help others.
Icon. He's
What
an
a big
icon.
difference. And that's what we want to say to all the kids who are being bullied, that you can turn your life around. That's an inspiration, and that's what you want to draw inspiration from other people who have gone through or who are going through the things that you're going through, so you can see if they can survive and get through it, then you can survive and get through it. I think that's one of the biggest things, is to draw from others, because so many celebrities you see
They've
who-
had their
yeah,
experiences
their
in one
share.
way or
they were geeky
hardship.
looking, that
Exactly.
that
Exactly.
weren't all that beautiful without the Hollywood glamour and the glitz
Exactly.
and all that have really turned their lives around and are doing good things. So that's what it's all about. That's what Discovery Talent, U.S. Discovery Talent Radio is all about, is helping, those people who are the underdogs and giving them a platform. So if you want to call Mr. DT, you could call him direct, 561-541-1878. That's the number to dial. He is the man. He's going to discover you and give you that opportunity. So I want to thank my wonderful friend here, Frances, for coming on today. And she really went through her life story and told you what she's all about, that she's a woman on a mission to help the underdog. So that's why she's here, because she's part of those.
Oh, yeah.
You can understand what this platform, this show is all about, you know, because that's what you do. You try to, like you said, you're paying it forward.
I'm paying it forward. We're more than one agency. We're paying
That's
it
it.
forward. One service or the other, but it's service in the community. And, you know, and like bullying comes from in all sorts of ages, colors.
Yeah.
So.
And the name of the agency is
USA Home Health.
Yeah, USA Home Health. So you can always, you have a Facebook?
You know, no, I don't. I have a Facebook account because of my grandchildren, but
Or
nothing.
what information you could give out for people to call you or contact you? Or they can call you directly?
They can call me directly if anybody has any questions, concerns, or
You wanna
need of
reach-
assistance. Please reach Frances Burgos at 561-859-9676. I'm
Okay.
here at your service 24/7.
All right. If you're in Puerto Rico, you can hit her up.
Oh yeah, I have friends that I have a young lady that I worked with that became very vocal. She quit her job and she became a true advocate for Puerto Rico as well.
Wow.
She's another Mark Anthony.
Wow.
I think her and Mark Anthony are right up
She
there.
found her calling.
Yes, she did. Yes,
Yeah,
she did. She
that's
became
what it
very
is.
proactive.
That's
yes.
what it is. And that's what happens through tragedy. You can turn your
Mhm.
life around and find your
Yeah.
true call, and you can do something good and positive with it. So, Mr. DT, any final words?
Yes, if it's for a good cause,
Yeah,
this platform is wide open.
yeah.
If
Maybe
it's a
I'll
good cause,
see if I can reach out to Mark Anthony to come in here and talk.
please, by all means.
Yeah.
I wish I had that poll.
You never know. Someone might send him the video. They'll watch it on YouTube.
And if someone wants to watch it live, they can go 605-468-5779.
Yeah.
And they can go directly to the radio, www.usdiscoverytalentradio.com.
Yep. All right. Wonderful.
Thank you.
Yep. All right. So, thank everyone for watching and sharing, for all the love. And thank my friend Frances for coming
you.
on. See, it was a wonderful.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's a wonderful, good experience. And if you want the opportunity, you can always give me a call. Also, 561-768-3005. If you want to be on the show, if you have a great story you want to share with others, you want to talk about your purpose, your story, what's your passion, what's your drive, just let me know. All right. Thank everyone for watching and being here. Great show. All right.